pick this edge. There's an edge. I don't know how well y'all see my hands. So you can see obviously out there that current flow from right here, and it breaks and comes down. What happens is it pushes off the seam right here where my hand does, and then it channels through here. Now you got two channels. I think I've talked about this before. Right here, this initial one, this is about 3.5 to 4 foot deep. And then you got that cut out there. And on the other side, you get about a 2.5 foot hole. But here's a big hole. Now, you'd be surprised how many fish lay right down in here. There's a little ledge. But, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna tickle this edge. Let the water kind of do its thing. This is not the greatest way to fish. I don't like doing this, but I know we'll pull a fish sometimes. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. And again, all I'm doing is kind of dragging it on this edge, hoping there's something down there. The same thing over here. I don't really care what direction I go through it. Like here, I'll pull it across the seam, let it fall into the seam. Right there, there was a hit right there off that seam. You see that? Right there, totally missed it, but there's a fish down here. Probably a little dude laying off that in that seam. That's what I get from talking to y'all and not paying attention to the fishing. I missed that pickup. You probably saw it in my rod though. See if I can pick him back up. There we go. There we go. Not a great one, but it's in current. All right, too little drag, ladies and gents, too little drag. Fish. Oh, it didn't count. It didn't count. That's the second time it's happened to fish right here. I got cheated. You see that? I set the hook like a little kid. Oh well. Shit happens, right? Aggravates me. Haven't caught one in a couple days. Even a little one have been all right. Tis what it is. Can't catch them all. Can't catch them all. Sure would have liked to caught that one though. That's what happens, man. You don't catch them in a few days, you start jonesing, right? Start questioning your ability to catch them. Hooking them don't fix it. Ain't gonna lie. Hooking that fish and fighting it, exchange that energy, man, that's grand. Until you put your hands on them, have that hook out of their mouth, that doesn't count. It doesn't count, at least not to me. Obviously, that wasn't a landed fish by any means. I dicked around a little bit. I'm sticking with that drag. I should just drug that little bitch in. Should just drug him in. Should just drug him in. I mean, sometimes it's just, that's what you gotta do, right? Might go to something that's moving. Maybe, we'll see. I don't know, I've had some pickups. Let's see. Just saw a fucking smallmouth jump. I just saw a smallmouth work right there in front of me. Hopefully we got that. Wasn't a huge fish, but right there, kind of directly out where I'm pointing. Right out there. Up above that next little riffle, there's a pool. Something just launched right there. Definitely was a smallmouth. It wasn't a carp. So I might go with something a little bit more active, ladies and gents. I might. I don't know that. Switching up. I mean, it's all about establishing a pattern, right? I'm not saying this is the wrong thing at the wrong time. With me, a jig's never the wrong thing. I ain't gonna lie. Unless it's too murky for them to see it, then obviously. But then I don't know if you can ever get too murky, really. You put that stuff right in front of them, and they feel it in their sight, and that water's better than us. And they got to be on a feed. Typically, when that water gets heavy, they still feed, but all that dirt irritates their gills and stuff, right? That's what I've read. So it does shut them down a little bit. And then when they come back up, then they're dealing with pressure and clarity and flow, and They eat like mad. Typically on that first section of a storm, you get that rise, right, in the river. And you don't get all the mud typically. You'll get that upflush, and then it starts to get a little dirty. If you can fish that, that's pretty productive time. That's kind of when the system starts to come alive, if you want to look at it that way. Everything's moving. You have stuff that's higher flow. Things are being dislodged. And as things become dislodged and the flow's still not ferocious, then other things come out and feed, right? So as the little things feed, bait fish, all the things that the crayfish and stuff eat, and then the crayfish start getting washed around. And the next thing you know, you just start establishing a pattern of feeding. And the idea is to get up on that pattern and to throw something down in there that everything's eating on. It's that circle of life, right? That chain, trying to interject yourself into that chain effectively. That's what you're doing anytime you're fishing. Unless you're getting them off a feeding pattern, you're just getting them, you're just pissing them off, right? That happens too. You have to choose your battles at times. Sometimes they're feeding, right? It's fairly easy within this perspective, right? But other times they're not. But that don't mean they won't bite. Don't mean they will. What I can tell you is smallmouth are curious, really curious. Smallmouth are aggressive, typically. Like anybody that's fished long enough have slept into one and then had 2 or 3 chase them up, or they've doubled up, or you see more double ups with smallmouth typically than you do on other bass, I think. And then sometimes it's only 2 or 3 of them down there. You don't get a whole school, but the 2 or 3 down there are just, they'll go to town and they will nail and chase, same lure. And then when you get hooked up on one, the other one tries to steal it. That happens. It's an amazing thing. I've had it happen 2 or 3 times. Just haven't got the double pop yet. I'm peeling my pack though, ladies and gents. Just for a second. Losing weight's good and bad. I bought clothes and now these fucking things are starting to fall off. I have a belt on today. But it's all right. I'm not 265 pounds of freaking flab anymore. I'm just loose 190 or whatever it is. Still too fat. So if you pull something out of here, it has to be shady. It's deep. I've seen stuff work. I want my pants stay up. Can't figure it out. I got too much shit in my pockets is what it is. I am slow on the draw today, ladies and gents. I'm missing a lot of hits. I don't know what's up. Maybe it's just I haven't been out much. Because the water's been jank and I've been busy. I've been cycling. Oh my gosh. The meds, man. Those antidepressants. 20 years. Changed who I was. And, you know, the problems change who you are, I think. When you start having the issues and then you're looking for an answer, trying to make sense of everything that's going on, right? When that stuff starts to get hairy and you start to lose control, and you don't recognize who you are, and you don't recognize what's happening inside you, and you don't have answers, it's a lost feeling. And then I turned to drugs, meaning prescription medication. Crazy drugs is what I call them. That stuff worked. You know, I've cycled it up and down, followed doctors. You know, I played with it myself before, obviously. As the years went by, my efficacy goes down, obviously. You stop feeling that. If there's a benefit, I guess you want to say there's a benefit to it, that kind of goes away. And I started noticing issues from it. And, you know, the only way I can explain it is on the higher doses, I was numb. I mean, I was shut down, man. Didn't feel anything. Didn't get mad. Rarely got excited about much. But I lost everything. That was too much, and I realized that fairly quickly. I just couldn't live there. So then I changed, and you find that median, that happy medium ground, and I found it. You know, I was rocking it, living the life, But then life transitions, change of job, separation, divorce, single dad. You're taking on that load. I was going to, ooh, right there in front of me. You see that? That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. I just had a hit of a jig right here in front of me. And obviously I didn't catch it because it didn't happen, but it was right there. I want to go moving. Just because I saw that, I'm going moving. I'm getting off the bottom. So, I've seen too much, ladies and gents. Oh, shoot, I've seen too much. What's that mean? Well, I've had some bites, jig-wise. Settling down, pickups, twitches. But the more consistent thing I'm seeing is a movement bite. And so, with that said, I don't have much with me today. I mean, I roll heavier than a lot of people most of the time, but I want an 1/8 ounce jig head. Bitsy bugs. See, I'm never without. This reason I want to start making my own. Never without. If they have them in, I'm buying them. This is the go, and they're cheap, and you tend to go through them fairly quickly. Well, I might be using that if I can find something. That's too big. I don't want to throw that. For a jig head. Looking for a pack of jig heads. And this is really bugging me because I have like 13 of them. These are too big. I don't want these big of jig heads. I want an 1/8. And I just bought an 1/8. I think it's in the truck. Oh, is that an 1/8? Oh, that's an 1/8. Right there's an 1/8. So I'm going to throw this 1/8 ounce jig head. And what I want to do is, I want to go cheap. So these Kalins, I'm not big on the white, but this has got a little yellow in it. So I'm probably going to go with this. As you can see, this is kind of my top water jig box. Just crap I throw a lot. And then I got some hard baits down there that I roll with. And then I got a shit ton of plastics. But, typically I'm throwing something like this. I'm throwing a jig head. I'm throwing a small micro jig of some sort. I just like the smallmouth presentation. Why? Just do. It's my thing. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna rip this little bitch because of that last hit. It was ridiculous. It was on top. I was picking up out of the water and that little booger hit. So, ooh, snipes. That's telling me, number one, I got a little clarity. Not much. Not horrible. Definitely better than it has been, right? You've seen that shit. But and I think they're just seem to be in a little bit more aggressive pattern. So I want to get off the bottom. They might be feeding up. That's something you got to think about. Directional feeds will get you if you're not cognizant. And what's that mean? Well, fish orient. Fish orient to points. They orient the structure. They orient the flow. Orient to a lot of things. And then depending on what's going on, time of day, conditions, they'll feed up or down. That means they're feeding on the bottom, or they feed up higher in the water column because that's where the food's at, right? So if you can identify where the food is, what the food is, you're a leg up, man. So that's something I do. So if you're fishing, man, pay attention to what's going on around you. Look at what you're seeing as far as bait fish. Do you see a lot of crayfish? Are the crayfish active? That's a kick too. If you see a lot of movement on the crayfish, throw that jig. So certain times of year, they're pushing. But they'll push all times of year, and you just got to pay attention to what color they are. Are they in soft crawl? Are they molded? That's a change. But, just pay attention to everything. What are the bait fish doing? Where are they at? Throwing in bait pools, man. That's what you're trying to do. Remember, trying to get into that food chain. Get in where you fit in. That's what I like to say. That game we play, that one's not super clean, but I don't care. I want to fish.